Of the Nicholas County Board of Education. This is a special meeting, Tuesday, March 28th, 2023. And at this time, if you'll stand and join us for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. If you'll join the board with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we only have one item of business tonight, and that's the consideration and possible action on the superintendent's recommendation that the Nicholas County Board of Education ratify the imposed unpaid suspension of the following employees' employment contract, and that Nicholas County Board of Education terminate the employee's contract with Nicholas County Schools effective immediately. And go ahead.
Well, we believe that there's a need to go into.
Well, are we going to discuss the procedure first?
Oh, well, okay. That may be better. Yes, correct me on this thing because, so Melissa, we will need to go into executive session, but we feel that it's prudent at this time for our in-house counsel to actually explain the process, the legal process that we've had to follow, and so that everyone may better understand what has to be done.
Okay.
Yes, so school employees have extensive rights under West Virginia Code. There's one whole chapter of West Virginia Code that's dedicated to the employment of school personnel. Chapter 18A-2-7 and 18A-2-8 are the ones that deal specifically with employee discipline and termination. Only the board, only a majority of the full board can terminate an employee's contract. And they can do that when a superintendent makes that recommendation. And we terminate contracts for lots of reasons. Sometimes it's discipline and sometimes it's for lack of need. But when discipline's involved, employees also have greater rights really than most people in the public when it comes to how they're disciplined. Any superintendent has the authority under West Virginia Code to temporarily suspend an employee pending the outcome of an investigation. Her power to suspend an employee is limited at 30 days. So anything beyond 30 days, then the board would have to approve a suspension beyond 30 days. So she can recommend and suspend employees pending the outcome of an investigation. And so typically, whenever we have an employee that's under investigation for misconduct, because that employee has not yet been found guilty of that conduct, then they are placed on a paid suspension. Once the investigation is concluded, speaking generally, if the superintendent finds that the employee didn't do anything wrong, we'll put that employee back to work and lift the paid suspension. If the superintendent determines, based upon the facts gathered from the result of the investigation, that the employee is deserving of further discipline, then she makes that recommendation to the board. At a time that she decides to recommend that an employee be terminated, then the employee's pay is placed on unpaid suspension. Employees have the right to a pre-discipline conference with the employee, so before she can even impose that discipline, she's got to meet with the employee. The employee has a right to be represented by legal counsel or their union, and they have a right to come in and defend themselves and explain why they took the action they took or didn't act in a way that they should have. So at the conclusion of that meeting, then that employee is notified of the superintendent's desires related to that discipline. From that point on, then that employee is entitled to 10 days notice before a board meeting is scheduled to terminate their contract. So, because they're entitled to a hearing. So if they want to have a hearing, they've got a right to gather evidence, to seek counsel, find witnesses. So that's Grievance Board, West Virginia Public Employees Grievance Board precedent has held that 10 days was sufficient notice. So that's why, I saw a lot on social media, and I even had a lot of people ask me is, well, why are these bus operators still working for you? Well, the answer that's twofold. First of all, only the board can terminate their contract, number one. And number two, there's this process that we have to go through, and I think this is not John Doe's Bakery where you walk in and you say, okay, your services are no longer needed. Because West Virginia is typically an at-will employment state, but not when it comes to school employees. So school employees have all of these rights, and we have to follow that procedure. If we don't follow that procedure, and the employee would grieve the termination, then we're going to go before a grievance board judge, an administrative law judge, who could then overrule your decision and put an employee back in our school system that we feel that we don't want. So it's very important that we follow the procedure. And so that's why, this incident happened on March 8th, and that's why we're here at March 28th, just now taking this action, because we had to go through these steps. We had to conduct an investigation. The police may have conducted an investigation pursuant to a legal charge. That's not us. We have to do our own investigation and come to our own conclusions and gather our own evidence. And that's what we did, and scheduled this meeting as soon as we possibly could. So if you have any questions about that process, I'll be happy to entertain those right now.
So neither one of these gentlemen requested a hearing?
No.
Okay.
And both of them were given the opportunity to appear here tonight and request a full hearing and be represented, and they both declined that.
Okay. Any other questions? So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion to go into executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-8A-4B for the purpose of conducting a hearing on a complaint, charge, or grievance against a public officer or employee unless the public officer or employee requests an open meeting. So I made the motion.
Second.
Second by Dr. Penix. All in favor? Aye. At 6:08.
The parent.
Do we have a motion to come out of the executive session? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, I move that we go out of executive session.
Okay. Dr. Penix made a motion to come out of executive session, seconded by Mr. Berry. All in favor? Aye. And it's at 6:48. And the code for that executive session should have been 6-9A-4B. And there were no decisions made during the executive session. Okay. So at this time, we'll hear a recommendation from the superintendent.
On March the 8th, 2023, Mr. Dodrell was placed on paid suspension pending the outcome of an investigation per West Virginia Code. The investigation showed that on March the 8th, 2023, Casey Dodrell, a bus driver for Nicholas County Schools, drove a bus while intoxicated. He ran his elementary route, then his secondary route. There were approximately 50 students on board his bus at that time. Mr. Dodrell was subsequently arrested. He failed the field sobriety test and registered at a .118 on the breathalyzer test. He admitted to the arresting officer that he had been drinking and driving. This is in violation of West Virginia Code 18A-2-8D, which gives school board the authority and duty to discipline and terminate school employees who jeopardize the health, safety, or welfare of students. On March the 13th, 2023, I placed Mr. Dodrell on unpaid suspension. I'm requesting that this board ratify that unpaid suspension and terminate Mr. Dodrell's contract effective March the 28th, 2023.
Does anybody have any questions for the superintendent? Okay, do we have a motion to follow up on the superintendent's recommendation?
Mr. President, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to ratify the unpaid suspension and also the termination of Casey Dodrell as an employee of the Nicholas County School System.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Penix. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Berry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
The next I would like to talk to you about is Logan Bailey. On March the 9th, 2023, I placed Mr. Bailey on paid leave pending the outcome of an investigation per West Virginia Code. The investigation showed that on March the 8th, 2023, Logan Bailey, a bus driver for Nicholas County Schools, had a lengthy conversation with Casey Dodrell. This conversation took place on Mr. Dodrell's bus immediately prior to the afternoon bus run of both Mr. Dodrell and Mr. Bailey. In this conversation, Mr. Dodrell repeatedly tells Mr. Bailey that he is drunk. Mr. Bailey failed to report Mr. Dodrell to the administration or call law enforcement. Mr. Bailey's inaction placed the students on Mr. Dodrell's bus in grave danger. This is a violation of West Virginia Code 18A-2-8D, which gives school board authority and duty to discipline and terminate school employees who jeopardize the health, safety, or welfare of students. On March the 13th, 2023, I placed Mr. Bailey on unpaid suspension. I'm requesting that the board ratify that unpaid suspension and terminate Mr. Bailey's contract effective March 28th, 2023.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, do we have a motion to act on this, ratify this unpaid suspension, terminate?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Berry makes a motion,
I'll second.
second by Dr. Penix. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, at this time, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Green makes a motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Moose. All in favor? Aye. At 7:52.